Hello and welcome back to Hyperplay. The R36S is very popular, and rightly so. It is still the best budget handheld console for emulation. The flip side to this massive popularity is that a slew of imitation R36Ss, fake R36Ss, have flooded the market, and you need to know whether you've got the real deal, because the fakes are not good. They will crap out, whether from a hardware or software point of view, and the bottom line is that they may even be dangerous. You need to know you've got the real deal, a genuine R36S. And we've seen many videos covering a lot of the signs of the fakes, but none of those videos are completely comprehensive, and we're going to show you how you can definitively ascertain whether or not you have a real R36S in your hands. So for the purposes of producing a definitive video on spotting a fake 36S, we went and bought ourselves a new one, or so we hoped. Initial signs, very good. The packaging, as you all have seen, seemed pretty standard. It said Boyham on the label earlier. The box looked like it should. The console looks like it should. None of these mean that you've got a real R36S. First things first, let's have a look at the D-pad. There's a round D-pad clone that has recently come out, and you can see there that is the D-pad of a fake R36S. The real deal has a squared off D-pad like ours. The next thing to check are the face buttons. If your X button looks italicized, you've got a fake R36S. Looking at the penultimate bullet point here, very thin A, B, X and Y letters is also the mark of a fake R36S. But we're okay, this is how the buttons should look, nicely embossed and slightly indented. No italicized letters or thin letters. Now you wouldn't believe it, but some fakes only have one SD card slot. This one has two. So, not a fake perhaps. Looking at the second bullet point here, another marker of a fake is if it only has one RAM chip on the back. Now this is a good reason to buy a transparent R36S. You can see here there is one RAM chip and here there is another, so we're fine from that point of view. So far, so good. Still no indications that this is a fake. So let's fire it up. Now, it used to be that the best way to find out whether or not you had a fake R36S is whether you could see Arc OS pop up when you fired up the system on boot up. Arc OS does pop up, but these days that is no guarantee of a real R36S, and we'll show you why in a bit. So accomplished have the fakers become that they can show Arc OS on boot up even though there's no Arc OS, and they can show Arc OS as the distro version here. So it's no guarantee that you've got a real Arc OS these days, even if it says Arc OS 2.0 in your system settings. So far, so good. No indications that this is a fake R36S, but that's not to say that it's the real deal either. Anyway, let's test a couple of games to see if they fire up correctly, to see if RetroArch is there, because on the fakes, the games won't play properly, RetroArch won't be properly configured, and you'll have a pretty poor experience. Initial signs are good. We took a random SNES game and fired it up, and it's Robocop 3. Yep, looks good, sounds good, working absolutely fine. Let's see if RetroArch is fully functional. Yes, it is. We push in on both sticks, L3 and R3 if you like, and we're straight into what looks to be the Arc OS version of RetroArch. So that's great. It's got all the settings we expect to see, and we can quit out of it nicely. So your game is loading fine, which is a great sign. Now unfortunately, in amongst the 15,000 games that are loaded onto the 64GB system that we've got, the games are listed with numbers in front of them. They're not alphabetical. So let's go for a quick search and we'll tap in Final Fantasy. Now Final Fantasy 3 on the SNES, or Final Fantasy 6 if you like, is a great way to test if Arc OS is firing on all cylinders, because the music at the start will crackle if you've got anything other than an optimized system. So let's find Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 6 and see how it sounds. Only need to listen to a snippet, no crackling whatsoever on startup or after it had been playing for a while. Sound quality is great, all looking very good. Now you shut down the system properly, as you should, through the settings menu. And we're looking at the top bullet point here, a charging animation when the device is turned off. If you see a charging animation when you are charging your R36S, in quotes, then you have a fake. So if you see a little battery tub come up in the middle of the screen, you've got a fake. As it is, we've only got the light in the middle, and that is how it should be. So again, no signs that we have a fake console. So we mentioned earlier that the new fakers, and this is seen as at December 18, 2024, can have an ArcOS startup, and it can still be a fake and not the proper ArcOS, and it can still say ArcOS in the system settings, even when it's not. But worse than that is that it can purport to be ArcOS, and it is ArcOS, but still be a fake, and that is because the fakers can run a bastardized ArcOS on their fake R36Ss, and it is nowhere near as good as the real ArcOS. Confused? I don't blame you, we were too, but suffice it to say that the bastardized ArcOS that purports to be running on these systems is no good. It will glitch all over the place. So the only way to know for sure if you've got a real R36S is to check the DTB file on the SD card that came with your R36S. So take the R36S SD card out of your console and pop it into your computer. Now, once you've popped it in, nothing will happen, most likely. You can go into your PC devices and it won't see the SD card. You're going to need a program called Disk Genius. Other such programs are available to go in and have a look at the partitions of the SD card. It's all fairly simple. Download Disk Genius, link in the description, and fire it up. Once you are in there, don't worry, we'll zoom in here, and I'm sorry it's a bit hazy. You go into the boot section, hit the plus button, and then navigate down to Tools. Once at Tools, you will just see 3 little dots there. Double click those and you will open up the files that are on your SD card, and you're looking at the ones that end DTB. There are 3. Game Console R36 DTB up at the top, that one, and then RG351MP kernel DTB, and lastly RK3326 RG351MP. That's what it was for us. And it's that DTB file, the one starting RK3326 that we're pointing to here, that proves that we have a real R36S. If you have that DTB file, you also have a real R36S. Likewise, if you have this DTB file, you're also golden. But if you don't have these, and you have a file that reads RK3326 EVB LP3 V12 Linux, or the other one seen here, which actually we haven't come across before, but if you do have that first DTB file or that other DTB file, you have a fake R36S. So now you know definitively how to find out if your R36S is the real, genuine deal. Now, as a bonus, at the end here, we're just going to quickly show you how you can find out what kind of screen you have on your genuine R36S. And this is relevant if you wanted to upgrade the operating system, because it depends on what panel you have as to what steps you take to upgrade to a newer ArcOS. So while you've got Disk Genius open, you navigate to your DTB file. If only it were that simple. There are 3 DTB files. It's going to be a question of trial and error, but copy those DTB files over to your computer. We stuck them in the documents folder, and then try uploading each one to that website. This was the appropriate file for us, Game Console R36S.dtb, and it told us we had the Panel 4 screen, which is great news. We will put a link in the description as to where we bought our genuine R36S with the Panel 4 screen. If you liked this, please subscribe. Please also drop us a like if this was in any way useful, and let us know in the comments if you'd like to see more R36S content from us. Many thanks and happy handheld gaming. Bye bye.